Okay, Impact Wrestling. Let's get this in perspective. In 2019, we have had very bad, well, more than 2019, we've had very bad storytelling from the WWE to the point where we can't stand even looking at it for 10 minutes. Some wrestling, a lot of times it bores us because the stories are so horrid. The matches are so repetitive. Now we got Impact Wrestling, who has been trying to tell stories and trying to give us some wrestling. It's been, for at least 6 to 8 months, more story than wrestling. And there have been stories that have been very questionable. But you can still watch them even if you don't agree with them. Because they at least can tell a decent story with very good wrestling. What do we get today? We actually got more wrestling than story, which was a very good change that I'm glad that I saw. Because last week, as I stated in a previous video, which was SmackDown Live, I've had no internet. My internet and my cable was having a problem in my building. I had almost practically no internet. If it would work, it would only work for a minute or two, and then it would die. So for 1 week, I've not been able to watch anything online. I have not seen Raw. I didn't see SmackDown. I didn't see NXT, which I really don't watch. And definitely didn't see Impact at all. I couldn't see it. So I didn't see what happened last week. So I don't know all the stories that's happened. But in this situation, because it was all wrestling, I didn't need to know the story. Now, first match, Tessa versus a Jack Chris. I know the story with her and Sami Callihan is still going on. Now, here's a perspective. I botched for one reason. Because I know I got to explain this. Because it's obvious to see what is going on, but I don't think everyone understands the reason why this is happening. If you haven't seen movies lately or television shows, this is the year, or last year and this year is the year of the woman. And the problem here is this, that it's not a fair representation of women because of what happened in Hollywood in the last 5 years, where they've been heavily exposed for badly treating women and men as actor and actresses. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of heat for saying actresses. There's nothing wrong with having division between the sexes. It's just that the producers, the directors, and the shareholders of those industries have treated both sexes like crap when they're trying to get roles. Particularly more women than men. We're not going to lie about it. It has happened. But because Hollywood was so heavily exposed, they decided roughly about 5 years ago or 7 years ago, I say about 7, but it really became prevalent 5 years ago, we have to make up to women. So we're going to give women roles that make them look incredibly dominant, incredibly good, and push a very nasty agenda. At the expense of entertaining people and at the expense of our profit margins. That's what you get in Hollywood. That's what you're getting in WWE, in a sense, that they're really not caring about what people want. They're only trying to please people. One person, which is Vince, that kind of reflects it. And in Impact, they're going with the trends, which is to do exactly as stated. Make the agenda happy at the expense of their fans and at the expense, clearly, of telling a good story. Now, this situation, this was all about the match. It was a damn good match. It was. Because they didn't hide the fact they had to make the match real as possible. That Jake had to beat the crap out of Tessa. But here's the thing. And I'm not taking anything away from Tessa because she's actually a damn good wrestler. She's better than Charlotte. Flat out, hands down. At least she has better attitude than Charlotte in the ring. She has better wrestling ability than Charlotte in the ring. She can actually tell a story better than Charlotte in the ring. And I think the reason I'm botching is because I'm not a huge Tessa fan. But she did win me over in the respect that she isn't trying to be like everyone else. She's trying to be Tessa. She's not trying to be Telly, and she's not trying to be Magnum TA. She's trying to be Tessa, unlike Charlotte, who's trying to be a Dad Rick. That's the reason I respect her in that respect. She takes the moves from her uncle, and she takes the moves from her dad, well, her stepdad, and her dad. and she tries to make something out of it with her own moveset on top of that. But here's the thing, as I said before. Impact is trying to do the agenda that many people are not 100% fond of. Because when you saw her go up against, what is the guy named Glenn Gilberti, that should have been a main event. That should have been a match where she had to struggle a little bit and then win. Show her dominance as the best wrestler. But we got a woman just destroying a guy who easily, you could tell from just the way he looked, he could have smacked the living taste out of her mouth and beat her up very easily. It should have been a struggle for her. Jake Chris is the same size as her. And being such a muscular woman, that was more a fair fight. But with Glenn, Disco Inferno himself, it just didn't feel right to see him get slaughtered and be scared like a bitch. So this is showing the agenda that is going on in Hollywood, which I don't agree with. This is just going to end badly. I truly wanted to see women wrestle men. In this case, just one woman, which is Tessa, which makes better sense than Scarlett Bordeaux, who, as I said many last year, months ago, that she should have been putting someone else over before the end of 18, then go into the ring in 19, and then start building something up, like starting to go up against men at least a couple of times, and then go to women. She didn't do that. She went jumping straight into a match by herself without putting anyone over. She now wrestled men generally. And then, even though I did enjoy it to a certain extent, because I don't see intergender matches. It's very rare to see in the WWE, and I have not seen them much, and I haven't seen a lot of indies where I'm sure it's commonplace. So it's nice to see, but the agenda's there. And when you see this, where Tessa wins in a very competitive and good match. The thing that got me is that they're trying to make this about women. Instead of just saying this is about Tessa. The commentators say it's about women. And even though Sami Callihan did not directly say it's about women, you could feel that it's about women, not just about Tessa. Now, let's move on to the next match, which felt empty. It was a good match, but it felt empty. You got Eddie versus Mad Dog Fulton. I had to look at it again because even though I remember the match, and remember generally what happened at the end of the match with Killer Kross, I'm not interested in this feud between Killer Kross and Eddie Edwards. Particularly, they tried to make it interesting, throwing Sandman into the mix with a mask, and then waterboarding him by Killer Kross, throwing water on his mask, where easily, if you don't know what happens, that fabric mask becomes very hard to breathe and a person could suffocate. I'm sure they put like some type of cover over his face, like one of those types of white masks to make sure that he could still breathe, because that guy could stop breathing. That can terrify you. Unless they actually did it. But it's not the point. The point is Mad Dog Fulton won the match because Eddie was distracted. Eddie's still trying to be the hardcore wrestler. And honestly, I'm not feeling this feud because I don't want to feel this feud. You could have had Killer Kross go into the main title picture for not the main title picture, but the main tag team title picture with Moose, who I'll be talking about in a minute, who really should be doing that. And then you got Eddie Edwards, who could easily go into the main title picture by himself, dealing with a Mike Elgin, dealing with a Slamtown Johnny Evil, dealing with a Rich Swann. I think he could be in that situation than this. And even though you see him later with his wife, him trying to hunt down Kross, eventually finds Kross, and then beats the crap and make him bleed, it just didn't matter to me. I don't care about this situation with Killer Kross and Eddie. It doesn't feel right. I'm not interested in it, and I don't want to see it. Now, let's move to Tommy versus Moose, which was an okay match. As I've said before, older talent working with younger talent will really be a better dynamic. You don't have to worry about if the older talent, who's a great wrestler, or has great psychology, knows how to make the younger talent work so you don't see the weakness of that talent. You don't see like a Tommy Dreamer getting tanked easily if you have Moose do more lifting, excuse me, more lifting for him, being more flairful, being able to give more to the crowd, make them pissed off, make them want to cheer for Tommy more. This is how it should be. And the thing is that I don't want to see Tommy going up against Moose. This should be something entirely different, leading into a match with RVT. Now, I think I said RVT because really, I don't know what I would say. I don't even know what the tag is. It's just I don't want to see it. Moose dealing with RVD is not making any sense to me. The match ended with Moose basically beating Tommy, and then pretty much you were going to get a coast to coast from Moose, which I think it should have happened. If you're going to go there with Moose and have him with RVD, you should have let him actually do that coast to coast on Tommy, then RVD come out, and then try to drum up some interest going into Slammiversary, which I do believe that's where they're going to have that match. I just believe this was a waste of time. I'd rather see an Ace Austin deal with a RVD because it makes better sense than to have a X Division guy deal with him, or a TJ Perkins who just came back in their match, and let me cover it. TJ Perkins versus Ace Austin, who Ace Austin is very entertaining. He's got a lot of flair. He did look like he almost tripped on himself getting ready to talk, but he did a great job in his promos. I like his promos. Then you have TJP coming back. Does not mean he signed, because we've learned through experience with Impact, they bring talent back, but does not mean they signed them. Ergo, Jordan Grace, I'm sorry. The sexy, super muscled Rhino. That's what we got right there. That's what we got. Yeah, I called her Rhino. She got a nice body. What do you want? Just because she's not like everyone else, she got a good body. Anyway, you got a very good match when it came to TJ Perkins, when it came to Ace Austin. But here's the thing. I would rather see Ace Austin, or hell, TJ Perkins, deal with it RVD. I want to see that. As I said before, let RVD put over X Division guys right now, because we really need him to help them. Hell, P.D. Williams could have been doing this with RVD. We could have done P.D. Williams with RVD. We could have done Ace Austin with RVD. And we could have done TJ Perkins, who had just left WWE because it wasn't doing a damn thing, and now is more busy because a lot of people in the indies are getting a lot more traction and a lot more demand than they were in the WWE. Well, I'm happy for him. Next, we have, the Rascals with Conan. Didn't care. Seeing the Rascals again getting a shot, because from what I understand, the Rascals look like they entered the inner sanctum of LAX again, and they might have pissed them off. I don't know, because I didn't see last week. Like I said, I had no internet. But you got Conan saying pretty much, you came into our sanctum, you had some balls, so good on you. But does not mean you're going to win. And instead of acting like children, why don't you step up? And I do like how the smoke in here smells good. It don't make a difference. You need to act your age. Step up. And to be honest, these characters of the Rascals suck. They just boring. They did the little skit beforehand, which most people might find funny, but to me personally, these guys are being badly underutilized. Why are they still signed with Impact? They should just break their contracts. There's no point in Dez, Trey, and Wiz to even work for Impact, because they're doing nothing with them. If they were at least enhanced talent and seen on TV more often and allowed to talk, maybe I would care a little more. But as it stands, having them as a group, and a group that feels like a bite off of New Day, just to fill in something that the WWE has done, and that's just by my perspective. I don't know anyone else consider them a New Day bite off or a knockoff. But me, that's what it feels like. So in the end, I don't care. Taya has her moment with Rosemary because of what happened with Su Yung. I know there was a situation a week before that because Havoc came back, which, oh, I'm so happy Havoc came back. But I don't know what happened last week. So I don't know if Havoc attacked Taya. I don't know if Havoc did anything. Only thing I know is Taya with Jonna Bravo decides to go and get help from Rosemary. And Rosemary says, well, you want to get something, you got to give me something. And she says, okay, if you help me, I'll let you have a title thing. Pretty much that's how I was talking. Look, I really do love it that Taya is a heel. Just like Johnny. Johnny is way more fun as a heel than he is a face. And Taya, who, if she was my girlfriend, I would adore her. She's so beautiful. And she seems to be very sweet when she's really being herself. Of course, I'm only maybe 5'8" or 5'8.5", and she's 5'11". Woman is damn tall. I'm like this and she would be like this, but I still love her ass. But anyway, she just, it screams heel. That's what her actual personality is, which is not really being an actual normal sweet person. She just plays a heel naturally, and I love it. Now, later, you have Taya versus Su Yung. And then it was a good match. It was. But then, by the end of it, you got Havoc messing up Su Yung. And then you got Father Mitchell, who I am so glad that he's back, because now Abyss is working with WWE, which I think he's not going to stay there forever unless he stays with Triple H in NXT. If he goes to the main, I'm saying this, I know this is WWE stuff, but I got to say this. I said myself, let Joseph Park, the guy who plays him, go to WWE for a year, for maybe a year, with a year contract, and then get some really good money compared to what he was getting at Impact, then leave it, and then come back. Because as it stands, they would screw his ass up. Now, if he is still working in NXT, which I hope he is, with JB, if they are going to be utilized down there as talent relations or writers, I hope they are, because the minute they go to the main roster, they are fucked. They're going to be so disgruntled. They're going to be so burnt out. We may never see them again. They'll be so angry. But that's just something I wanted to say. Finally, Triple Threat, which I don't know why they did it. I liked the match, but I don't know why they did it. I don't know why they did it. To be honest, it didn't really matter who won that match. I just don't know why they went there. Mind you, I did have a problem with the internet, so I did not see what happened at the end. I don't know what happened. That the website, not my internet went down, the Twitch website for me had some type of issue where it just went down, so I did not see the rest of it. So in the end, I don't know what happened. I don't. But when it came down to it, it didn't really matter who won the match. They just did that as filler until Brian Cage is ready to do the wrestling. Now understand that they're going to start talking about him, and they're going to say what his condition is next week. So hopefully he will be cleared, which he probably will be. But this show was good. Knowing that they want to do a Monsters Ball. I know I didn't say it earlier. A Monsters Ball with all 4 women. You don't hear that often with women, which I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to see they're not getting rid of Monsters Ball. They're going to use it in the right way with the right type of people. All dark, evil women that make, well, except for Taya, who's just a good heel. It makes sense why they're doing it, particularly that Rosemary can't go in the ring right now. She's really sloppy. And then you're going to have all these other matches going to Slammiversary, which I actually am interested in. I'm glad I saw this show. In fact, even though not all of the matches were great, and the stories may not be good, you could watch this and be very happy with it. But this is just my point of view. You guys tell me below. Have a good day, have a good night, and I will be doing Stomping Ground, I believe, if it doesn't turn me off. Because I know this is not going to be a good pay-per-view, but I want to see the train wreck. Peace!